Hello. So, the first of the four types of love that we talked about from ancient Greece is philia, and this is a deep, close, and personal friendship. And this is the type of bond that grows over time through shared experiences and common interest and mutual respect. And a person who represents this love in my life would be my childhood best friend, November. Our bond grew over time through shared experiences, especially during our formative years, because we met in middle school. So we rode the bus together, we worked our first jobs together, and other sorts of things like that. And I'll actually share one of our funny shared experiences. So, shortly after we turned 21, as a rite of passage, we went to the bar together, and while we were there, November's boot got stuck to her bar stool and she fell out of her chair. And although we hadn't been drinking, I'm sure it looked like we had been. But that was one of our shared experiences from turning 21, which is a huge milestone in someone's life that has helped our bond grow and helped us uh, adopt this philia type of love. The second type of love we talked about is storge, and this is a familial, nurturing type of love where you are deeply concerned with your beloved's well being and their interests. And the people in my life who would represent this type of love would be my children and my twin sister. Like any other mother, I am constantly concerned with my child's or my children's well-being and their interests. I'm constantly playing Minecraft and learning new things about Pokemon because they like those types of things. Even though they're not my interests, I'm concerned about their interests. I also have an identical twin sister that falls under the Storge type of love. I For example, when her cat got really sick this past year, I spent entirely too much money trying to help her because that came from a place where I was concerned about her well being and her interests, which was her cat. The third type of love is agape, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is a universal, charitable type of love that has a lot of religious connotations. I think our book even goes on to quote Paul, where he talks about love being patient and love being kind. And it has this very love thy neighbor nature. So even if you have enemies, like you're supposed to love them because this love is supposed to be universal. And I had a really hard time coming up with an example or a representation of this type of love in my life. But my mind kept jumping back to my work, my job, because I'm a manager. I have to love each and every employee at least a little bit for the better of the business. I have to give each of them a universal type of care, love, and attention. And I also, although I'm not a Christian, I also jump back to my religious roots, which I practice a nature based religion. So there is like a universal and unconditional love between me and the deities that I recognize. I know in Christianity, agape could represent the unconditional love between God and humanity and that bi-directional relationship. Anyways, the fourth type of love is eros, which is an intense sexual attraction, and the book uses the term limerence to describe the obsessive, anxious, and passionate nature of eros at its extreme form. It has also been the foundation for a lot of artwork, music, movies, poetry, books, and even crime. Crimes of passion, murdering competitors who are trying to get your lover's attention, and murdering cheating partners. I would even consider like stalking and rape under these Eros style crimes. But on a lighter note, on a better note, the person in my life who would represent Eros would be my partner, Nate. We share two children together, so I don't feel like I have to go any further describing that love between us. But anywho, I also do agree with the book that Eros is the most dangerous style of love. Like I said, we see a lot of crimes of passion that have to do with romantic partners. We see a lot of like domestic issues that stem from this very obsessive, jealous style eros of love. But I also would argue that Storge could potentially be just as dangerous. And I say that because as a parent, we always hear other parents say, I would kill or hurt anybody who tries to hurt my children. So I think that it's easy to trigger that primitive instinct that we have to protect our families. And I can even give you example of a crime that involves that Storge kind of love. And I hope I pronounce his name right. I think it's Gary Plauché. Yes, Gary Plauché, when he murdered his son's kidnapper and rapist on live television, the man was walking by him and he pulled out a gun and shot him in his head. That is just one of many examples out there of the Storge style love leading to crimes whenever we feel our family ties are in danger in some way. But yes, I do agree with the book that Eros is the most dangerous, but I think Storge could be just as dangerous, even though it seems unassuming on the surface. But yes, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my video.